So you've heard me say that if you're going to be successful developing a piece of property, then you've got to know your UDO. You're playing the game in real estate, you got to know the rules. And your UDO, Unified Development Ordinance, are the rules of the game. It's the rules for the game to develop a piece of property. So whenever I'm looking at a piece of property to purchase, the first thing I want to know is what's the UDO, what's the zoning for the piece of property? What's the rules for this piece of property? What's the minimum lot size? What's the minimum lot width? Is there any impervious surface limitations? What's the setbacks? You quickly go to the rules. But once you get the rules established, oftentimes your development project is going to be dictated by not just the size of the parcel, but the geometry of the parcel. What is the width and depth? What are the different angles? What's the shape of the site right now? That's going to begin to dictate what you can or can't do on that site. Because before you go purchasing and developing, you've got to find out how many units can I put on here? Am I building single family homes? Will this be a townhome community? Will I be doing ADUs? Where will I put the parking? What shape lots can I put? Because the make or break of a deal could come down to, am I doing 8 lots? Am I doing 9 lots? So the shape, the geometry becomes really important. And the professional that you need to buddy up with, that you got to get to know when you really want to start putting some good feasibility together, is a land planner or a civil engineer. And oftentimes a civil engineer can do land planning as well. A civil engineer, it's their specialty to understand the zoning, the rules, and especially the stormwater, how to engineer a site for all the things that are going to go in the ground. So finding a good civil engineer. Now, when you're looking for a civil engineer, it really depends on your project. You'll meet many civil engineers in a busy metropolitan area like where I live, who they just want to do roads and high-rise buildings, all the way down to having someone who works by themselves who will do a simple plot plan for just a single family dwelling. So finding the right size civil engineer is important. Now here's what you got to keep in mind. In the areas that I developed, we call it exempt plat, meaning it's exempt from site plan review if you're doing some simple simple layouts and minor subdivisions. Doesn't always technically require a civil engineer. But I want to recommend that you buddy up with one and you get one involved when you're putting the site plan together, even if your architect or surveyor says that they'd be willing to do that, because the civil engineer is going to be thinking out past the expertise of the surveyor and the architect. The civil engineer is going to know the rules, the UDO, and where you can place the house or the ADU and where your driveways can be and impervious surface limitations. But they also might start to help you think about where your stormwater is going to go and how you're going to keep water away from your building. Such was the case of a recent project. It was a simple knock down a house. We're going to build back a luxury home in a high-end inner city neighborhood. And I don't need a civil engineer to put the plot plan together. My architect might be willing to do it. A survey oftentimes will be willing to draw the house on that lot. But I reached out to a civil engineer that I started a relationship with and asked, is this too small for you? Would you help on this? And he said he'd be happy to, and his price was great. And when I got it back, I was pleasantly surprised. Not only did he draw my building where I wanted it, but he put consideration into the stormwater. How's the runoff? He proposed some places to put some drainage grates on the property, on the site. And especially comes in handy because the owner of the site is thinking about putting a pool on the property at a later date. So, back to the point of the video. When you're developing property, you got to know the rules of the game. You got to know what you can build on a piece of property, not just because the rules say so, but because what you're trying to do will fit on the property. And so it's not just the rules, but it's often the geometry. What is the shape and size of the property? And from there, oftentimes having a good civil engineer in your toolkit, in your Rolodex, can really help you create a successful project. I hope this is helpful. If you want to learn more, subscribe to our channel. Pay attention. I'm trying to give you the tools and techniques, the things that we've learned over the years developing property in North Carolina, and we've paid the stupid tax. We've paid thousands of dollars in stupid tax. We've lost money on deals, and there's been money we've left on the table on deals because there was things that we didn't know. And we've created a framework that helps us evaluate property so that we don't pay that tax anymore, so we don't buy property that won't be successful. And I'd love to equip you with that framework. So if you're interested in such a framework, and our deal evaluation checklist that we've been using for years to help you learn how to evaluate your next deal and hopefully be successful in your real estate project, DM me, connect with us. I'd love to send that over to you.